I started my playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom on Friday. Right from square one, I was streaming everything on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/EPN, and I played for 7 hours on Friday, and I played for several more hours over the weekend. I'm probably around 20, 25 hours. I don't know the exact hour count. I just know that my dreams have been weird, and my emotional state has been all over the freaking place playing this game. I've been living in Hyrule with Link, as I'm sure many of you have. And I'm also starting to kind of put my thoughts together around the experience with the game, but I have been all over it. It hasn't just been this steady sense of like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm playing this, I love everything about it. It hasn't been quite like that, and that's been a little bit surprising for me because obviously the Breath of the Wild is my favorite video game of all time. I thought this is going to mirror that experience because it is a sequel and it's a reflection of a lot of the core experiences from the first game. But it's different. This is a very different game. Period, but it's also a very different Zelda experience, and I think a little bit about Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time and how they were fantastic bookends for each other on the N64, and there is a little parody here. There is some kind of interesting connection that you can make across that pair of games and this pair of games on the Nintendo Switch. But I have put together a list of 10 things. 5 things that I love about Tears of the Kingdom, and 5 things that I don't. Let's start with the things that I love about the game so far. And I've got a lot more to play, and I'm going to try to keep this conversation as spoiler-free as I possibly can. Maybe a little bit of spoilery stuff. But number 5 from the things that I love is that sense of accomplishment that you get when you figure things out. This is a game that really employs your imagination and really asks you to come at things from a million different ways and figure it out for you. And that's the cool thing about this game as you're playing it and talking about it with your friends or looking at, copious amounts of YouTube videos and Twitch videos. Everybody's going to figure things out differently, and that's a very, very cool thing. But when you do figure out something, a puzzle in a shrine or a boss fight or something where you're engineering the incredible amount of systems in this game and you figure it out, you feel supreme. You feel like just this incredible, competent warrior that Link is. So there's a great connection there. Number 4 on the list of things that I love about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is that sense of flying in the game. And it starts with these bird-like gliders that you can jump on, and of course a huge part of the gameplay is you can fuse things together and attach things and build your own craft. And it doesn't take long before you recognize that there are little engine parts that you can stick onto those bird gliders and you can fly around. And that sense of aerodynamic kind of control is so freaking wonderful. Now you can always glide with your paraglider as you could in Breath of the Wild, but being able to take control of a craft and fly everywhere and lean on the glider's wings and change direction is absolutely incredible, and it really is a breathtaking part of the game. Number 3 on the list of things that I love are the cut sequences and the storytelling in general, which I think is a lot more cohesive. It makes a lot more sense. You're battling all kinds of weird infection that has happened across the land of Hyrule, and you're trying to figure out where the princess is, but all of the cutscenes and the story bits with the different characters that you meet are so stylish and so well put together. The voice acting has taken a great bump up as well, and it just feels like you're really rooted and connected. And also the fact that this is a sequel and it's kind of cementing the progression of this Link in the legend of this land is really cool as well. So I'm loving the story, I'm loving the way it's put together, and of course I'm loving the expanse of it all. The fact that we're starting on Sky Islands and traversing on this land above, but also across Hyrule and in other areas too. It's really remarkable, and all of that storytelling expertise is on display in full effect. And number 2 on my list plays into the sense of scale that you get within this game. Now, obviously, this was going to be a huge game. Breath of the Wild is a huge game, but there is, a lot more area. It's multiple times larger than Breath of the Wild for you to experience and to explore. And so part of the toolkit that you get is this unbelievable freedom with all of these ingredients, whether you're cooking or whether you're making machinery to help you traverse. And of course, there's lots of systems rooted in Breath of the Wild, like finding horses and training them and being able to ride everywhere. But there is just this immense amount of freedom to experiment and to try things out and to just test systems systems and to just live in this world like we've never seen before. I mean, I think previous Zelda games, all of them, have kind of teased in this direction and have kind of given you that sense of explore the land and to find different tools and to figure things out using those tools. Well, now you're making the tools and you're figuring things out on your own terms. It's almost like the game turns you into a bit of a designer as well. And it's going to be fascinating to see people play this game for years and years and years and to see imagination on display in the play of it and turning themselves into part of the art in a really incredible, profound way. The freedom of expression in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is astounding. And number one on my list of the things that I love so far about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is also something that I have some issues with, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's the scale of the game. The fact that you live in this land and you can just look around, not just across the landscape or sort of down from mountaintops and to see all the different areas, but also looking up and then looking in other directions and just seeing how far you can venture and travel and go and live and experience and test and just play and, you know, breathe in the world of this game is unbelievable. You turn this game on and goodbye to you, because you're going to be there for a long time. You're going to maybe go out, you're thinking you're going out to solve a quest or go on a mission or follow a story beat, and you're going to get stuck collecting flint and ore, you know, bashing rocks for hours so that you find all these different rocks that you can sell or you can create fires with. There is just the limitless kind of choice and directions for you to go, and it's so freaking amazing. Now, you have to kind of get in sync with that amount of scale and that amount of freedom, and that's something that I'll talk about in my list of things that I don't love about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And number 5 are the controls for the game. And it's not so much that the controls are bad, it's that the controls take a long time to become second nature. And one of the things that I did along my journey is I switched the jump button to the B button. It was on the X button, and I kept pressing the B button over and over and over again. And the game is smart enough to know, hey, you might want to press the button that every other game uses as a jump button. So I did do that. But then there's all of these different controls with the Zonai abilities where you've got the Ultra Hand and Ascend and Rewind and fusing things. And so I'm constantly pressing the wrong button and attaching the wrong thing to my bow and arrow or throwing my weapon over the side of a cliff because I'm trying to find a little fire plant that I'm going to burn a bush with or something. It's just ridiculous how much stumbling and bumbling my Link is doing, as he can do a million things, but it's like, well, what is the combo and the different sets of buttons that I press together? It's a lot. There's a lot in the game, and I don't know how they could have done this with this controller. I've used the Pro Controller. You could use the Joy-Con attached to the Switch. I don't know how they could have done it any other way. You do have to press, you know, multiples of buttons and press up on the D-pad and select things and use the right thumbstick. And honestly, it's like an IQ test, all of the controls that you have to contend with. I'm in hour 20-ish of the game, and it's becoming a lot more sort of second nature for me, but I'm still making mistakes. And I guess that's part of the design. I'm still throwing a piece of machinery off the edge of a cliff or hurling my sword at something and watching it bash against the rocks and it's destroyed and I needed that. Or I drop a chicken leg beside the fire and it's not quite near the fire and it's you got to pick it up, but you don't have it in your hand. It's back in your inventory, so you got to select the inventory and then put it into your hands, and then you drop it and you're like, oh, okay, I got it. I mean, there's been a lot of tuning to make systems that were in Breath of the Wild feel a lot more second nature in this game, but it's still clunky. There's just so much that you can do. It's still clunky for me this many hours in. We'll see how I feel as I get closer to completing the game, but I am cresting. You know, it does feel like, oh yes, I'm getting all of this. I'm starting to understand the scope and the scale, but it's a lot. And number 4 are those dreaded destructible weapons, and I see it now. I never had an issue with the destructible weapons in Breath of the Wild. They were a minor annoyance, but so much of that game's experimentation was about trying to find all of these different tools and using them. But there is this extra layer because now you're customizing them and building cool ones based on the ingredients and little bits and pieces that you find scattered, when you kill a bokoblin or whatever. You kill something and they drop a horn and you attach it and you make this cool blade, and then it lasts for 5 hits and it's gone. And so the destructible weapons, which I think have been a plague for a lot of people, especially people that didn't sign up for Breath of the Wild on day one, launch day, with the Nintendo Switch. They came to it later after the years or months of hype, and they went, well, I'm losing all these weapons all the time. It's driving me crazy. Well, now I get it. Because I'm losing all these weapons all the time, and it's driving me crazy. Number 3 on my list of things that I don't love about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and this is something I think we can all joke about as fans of this franchise and games that are this large in general. It's basically saying goodbye to everybody. Everybody that you know, except online, because we're all tweeting and sharing social posts and videos and things like that about our experience playing this game. But it's a lonely experience. It's lonely to play the game, because Link is on his own for huge chunks of the time, and a lot of it is on foot or climbing up these massive mountains that take forever, and I feel it much more this time. I was aware of that sense of grandeur and that sort of epic kind of person on a mission and defeating the enemies at all cost, and whatever the cost might be in terms of this person's kind of social well-being. But there are just vast stretches where you're alone and you're walking and you're climbing, and it just takes forever to get anywhere, and you're just thinking, like, I have said goodbye to everybody in my life to play this game, and I'm just going forever and ever and ever. And I don't know, it's gotten to me. There's been definite moments where it's like, holy crap. And I think part of it is this is an incredible series that always starts to, it's like a snowball. There's a lot more pace that starts to happen as you accumulate stuff, weaponry, tools, knowledge, experience. And that's starting to happen now in my 20-ish hours of Tears of the Kingdom. But it's so big, and there are so many set pieces and areas where there's nothing around but you climbing, and you're in your thoughts, and you're thinking, wow, I'm really cut off from people. And then you do meet a lot more individuals, and there's a lot more character in the game, and then there's also a lot more, I think, opportunities for team-ups within the game, which I really appreciate. But yeah, there definitely is this foreboding, lonely quality in this experience. Part of that is my number 2, is that the scale is overwhelming in this game. I love it, and I also don't love it, if you know what I mean. Like, you look around and you go, I gotta go there. Like, you take, it's in the inward kind of feel. It's like this very same feeling you would have if you literally climbed a physical mountain and looked across a series of mountain ranges and thought, I gotta go there. Like, you feel it so one-to-one, but you do it, and that's the game. It's like, okay. And it's amazing when you accomplish these missions that have you traversing vast amounts of land or sky or whatever, and you do it, but then you look back on the footsteps you've taken to accomplish it, and it's incredible. And certainly we play a lot of open world experiences, so maybe this is not quite as new, but it's still overwhelming in both good and bad ways, especially when I couple that with the loneliness that I feel in certain stretches of the game. Now, the number 1 thing that I don't love about Tears of the Kingdom is that my sense of awe around the game and the way that I'm experiencing the game has been diminished in 2023 than it was in 2017. There was no way around it. You can see the Nintendo Switch hardware struggling to, I think, keep up with the ambition and the imagination of the game. You can see the aliasing. You can see the frame rate hits. The details of the game, as beautifully designed and as beautiful, period, as this game is. It's gorgeous. I love the production elements, and I love the cel-shaded, cartoony art style. That Studio Ghibli kind of look to everything is just absolutely gorgeous. But the system is struggling to keep up with the power of that beauty. And I didn't feel that at all in 2017. And it still is impressive as hell when you take your Nintendo Switch, I've got the OLED model, and you look at it in handheld mode and you recognize that this massive amount of experience is portable and that we're talking about a portable game. That still remains. That sense of awe remains. But just in general, the performance and the look of it, I mean, we've had a lot of incredible open world experiences since Breath of the Wild, and many of them directly influenced by Breath of the Wild. I'm looking at you, Elden Ring, but also things like Ghost of Tsushima and Insomniac's Spider-Man experiences. We've had so much gorgeous work in this open world space. And so not only is it the fact that the Switch is nearing the end of its kind of prime life cycle right now, and this is hardware that's been pushed and pushed and pushed, and there's been unbelievable, beautiful art being able to be achieved on this platform for many, many years. But there is a sense that there's going to be something over the horizon that's going to be much more powerful, that's going to be able to honor the unbelievable imagination in this game in a better degree. And Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn are also a couple of great examples, and I recently played the Burning Shores DLC, and so that's fresh in my mind. It's imprinted on my mind how beautiful that was. And so it definitely felt like a visual step down to jump into the world of Tears of the Kingdom. And I feel it this time. I didn't feel that at all in 2017 playing Breath of the Wild. But I also recognize that it's a miracle that this game is as big and beautiful and ridiculously fun to play as it is on this hardware. But it is. So there you go. There are 5 things that I love and 5 things that I don't love about the experience of playing Tears of the Kingdom. It is an unbelievable accomplishment. I can absolutely say that. I don't have a score for you guys. I've got a lot more to play. I'll be streaming a lot more on our Twitch channel, and I hope you can join me there. But I eventually will get to the end of this, and I'll come back and give you guys my final thoughts. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you love everything about Tears of the Kingdom? Do you have your own lists of things you love and don't love about the game? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me about your experience playing this incredible game. And now I'm going to jump back in because I'm talking about it and I want to get back to Hyrule. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.